goal, Quishbilly Huddersfield Town! The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
And Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
We're too busy swanning around, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the warm-up episode 42. Following the failure against Forest, Huddersfield are off to Wales this weekend to take on Swansea City. Will they clip the Swans' wings, or will we be hunked off come 5 p.m. Saturday? Anyway, joining me, your host, Brady Frost, to preview Town's latest match is someone who's burdened with my puns every week. It's my co-host, Josh Phillips. Josh, how are you?
Good evening, Brady. I'm not bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, struggling with the bird puns there. But you know, it's, I've got a beak on me, aren't I? So I can pull them off. Lovely. So it's just me and you this week. So we had a last minute cancellation. So we're flying solo.
I'm scratching my head thinking, why do people keep pulling out? I mean,
weird, isn't it?
What? It's like we're doing something wrong.
It's like there's this really long introduction with loads of bad puns, and then we get to them and just kind of move on. So, you know, it's a mystery, mate, like you say.
Yeah.
Complete mystery. So, Josh, because there's only two of us, there's no trash talk this week, but there is a new game that you've concocted. It's called Guess the 11.
So, Guess the 11, I'm going back to 2007, 16th of November, 2007. It was a Friday night game. Huddersfield Town travelled to Swansea City, and they won 1-0. I'm not going to say what the goal scorer was, but I don't think he scored too many. And that's why that's why I remembered this game anyway. Not that I was there, but yeah, anyway. So you've got 30 seconds. And bearing in mind, Matt, when Matt did this, he actually smashed it. He named every player and every sub. So you've got quite a lot to live up to. You've got 30 seconds to name the Huddersfield Town 11 from that game, November 2007. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, away you go.
Oh, this is going to be terrible. Gary Roberts?
No.
Wilkinson?
No. You're going too late.
Too late. I'm having a complete blank.
That's a legendary Town striker.
Andy Booth.
Yeah. Goalkeeper cuts hair.
Glennon.
Yeah, I'm not giving you any more.
Okay. I'm really struggling. I've had such a mind blank. Andy. Oh no.
Yeah, there was an Andy. Another Andy.
Bosworth? No.
Yeah.
I'm having a proper blank. The people be listening to this absolutely screaming at the.
I've given you 45 seconds. I was hoping you might eke a couple more out, but do you want me to talk you through the lineup?
Yeah.
So we had Glennon in goal, he got that one. Nathan Clark, David Murphy, Frank Sinclair, and Joe Scars in defence.
I was going to say Joe Scars.
I should have said him.
Went to school with his sister.
Well, I'm afraid you don't get another point for that.
Yeah. Done a podcast with him as well. Should have got that.
Yeah, should have got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Andy Holdsworth, which you got. And then the goal scorer was a certain Malvin Kamara. And that's why, I don't know why, it just triggered something in my mind this game. Because it was such an unlikely win, I remember. Because Swansea, I think they went up that season. But good old Malvin scored the winner. And then we also had Ronnie Walwork, Danny Cadamastri, Danny Schofield, and Boothie. So, yeah.
No,
that's the Guess 11. So I'll give you a generous 3 out of 11 for that one.
Okay. I think that was really bad. We should move on. I'm going to start talking about current Swansea. Nice little insight leading. So they've only won once in the league, Josh, so far this season. I'm a bit wary talking about that because when we did the Forest preview, they hadn't won. It was kind of saying this is a good game. And look what happened. But they currently sit 21st in the table and have had a bit of a mixed start under manager Russell Martin, who they got from MK Dons. So they tend to line up Swansea in kind of a 3-4-2-1 formation. And I think in terms of what kind of game we can expect from this, really, I saw a stat the other day. I think Swansea are the team that's played the least amount of long balls in the league. So if anyone kind of watched Russell Martin's side for MK Dons League One last season and some of it this season, they are quite like to play football, quotes, the right way. So there's a lot of kind of patient build up passing, and they're trying to get it on the floor and create opportunities. Quite similar to Town. So I don't know what you think, Tom, but Forest, obviously, I think they did a bit of a number on us on Saturday. I was at the game. It was Town had an off day as well, but I think Forest did a number on us. But Swansea, they kind of, because of the style they play, and it's very similar to Town, it might be an open game and that might suit Town more. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a game that we could get some joy from. Obviously, last season, playoff finalists Swansea, and they currently find themselves 20th this season. As you said, only one win in 8 in the league and one goal in their 4 home games in the league this season. So I'd expect the crowd to be a bit restless and probably not fully on board with this Russell Martin total football that he's got going on. Obviously, they got him from Milton Keynes Dons, where he's highly rated. He's not got off to a flying start, but especially with that kind of manager and that kind of system, it takes time to bed in those processes, and I'm sure it will be a success. But you're going to a team that, as I said, were playoff finalists, so you're starting from a pretty high bar set by Steve Cooper. I think the crowd, as I said, will be potentially a bit on the back if they give the ball away. So I think a high press would be the way to go for Town. Do to Swansea what a few teams did to us last season, and just get about them, get in the faces. I think particularly, sort of Lewis O'Brien, the way, if you think back to the Blackpool game last Tuesday, the way he harried their defender and ended up being a goal. I think there could be a few situations like that where we could win the ball back off them if they're not fully confident in this passing out from the back style.
No, I agree. I think you mentioned about their poor home record in terms of scoring goals, but obviously they scored three at the weekend. That exciting 3-3 draw against Luton. Probably remembered more for Henry Lansby kicking Ryan Mannon's shin off, pretty much. So, but anyway, we've seen they can score quite a few goals, and I think this could be a bit of an entertaining one, to use the classic phrase, if you're neutral. We'll kind of see. Obviously, we won 2-1 there last season, and I think it's going to be quite an open, interesting game. Hopefully we can get a bit more joy than we did against Forest. But Josh, who have you picked out as a key player for Swansea?
All right, so my key player for Swansea is a bit of a personal choice. I don't know if he'll even start. He's made 5 appearances so far this season, but I just remember watching him play a couple of years ago. I think it's when Swansea had just come down, and he stood out to me, and it's Jan Dander.
Oh, yeah.
Attacking midfielder, very neat and tidy player. He's not the biggest, but I just remember his control of the ball, his passing, his vision on that day. I thought, there's a player. And since then, he's not really kicked on as I thought he would. But, I think he's definitely got something about him. But as I say, he may not even start. So I think, he's just a personal pick this week. Jan Dander.
Personal? What, like you've met him? Or
he's a good mate of mine. Good. Me and Jan, we have a few good chats. And I give him a little pointers on his game, but he doesn't seem to take it on board.
Well, that's probably why he's not kicked on, mate.
Exactly.
He was a former Liverpool player, wasn't he? Like prospect, kind of hype.
He came through the youth setup at Liverpool, and then Swansea picked him up. But he just seems like a very technical player when I've seen him play. But whether he does anything against Town, probably not. Hopefully not.
We'll see. So I've gone for, I'll probably butcher the pronunciation of this, but Joel Perreault. So he's a striker who's been playing as the one in the 3-4-2-1. A £1.8 million signing from PSV this season, in summer, and he's got 4 goals in 4 starts and 7 appearances, which surprised me. So, there's been much discussion about Town not having a striker who's chipping in goals. So, we'd love to have a player like that on our team, but quite interesting. I think he could, clearly got a knack for goal, and I think our defenders will have to watch out because, again, if it's an open game, I can see Town conceding, and I can also see us scoring. So a bit of an interesting one to watch out for. But also,
considering Swansea haven't scored that many goals this season, particularly at home, that's pretty good strike rate from Perreault.
Yeah. Also, Josh, and this is one for the fans, there'll be a familiar face potentially in goal because Ben Hamer's started the last couple of games for Swansea. So I wonder if we'll see him in between the sticks on Saturday.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it? Because we know Swansea are trying to play out from the back, completely play out from the back. Whereas, this season, Town, we are playing out, but not to the extent we were at this stage last season, where it was sort of you can never hit a long pass. If Swansea are playing that way, and judging by the stats they are, then with Hamer in goal, we know ourselves, if you put him under pressure, he's going to make a mistake. So I think that is interesting for Town, and it's something we can exploit. Not that I think Ben Hamer's a bad goalkeeper by any means. I just don't think he's not Edison.
No, very true. I mean, although, I think we all admitted this, he was quite good playing it out, like you say, when he was at Town at the start of the season. But I don't know. I don't want to be one of those like classic Town fans, but maybe he's going to have like an absolute hero's performance against us, as a few fans wrong.
I don't think he wasn't bad with his feet, but I thought he was prone to a bit of panic if you put him under. Like I remember that friendly against Man United in the 23s when he had an absolute howler, and we thought, oh, here we go. But to be fair, after that, he didn't make many mistakes. However, I always felt there was a mistake in him. And we've seen plenty of those before, haven't we? But yeah, I just think that's possibly somewhere we could get joy.
Interesting one, because obviously I think we talked about this a bit, given how much we were banging on about Schofield when he was going through a bad run of form. But would you? I know we've got Nichols in now, and Nichols has seemed to do a pretty good job, and I think he's certainly improved the team and brought more calmness. But I know hindsight, we're always looking back, but would you have kept Hamer for the second half of last season?
For the second half of last season, yes, I would. We've spoken about Schofield plenty of times. I don't think he's ready now, so he definitely wasn't ready in January. And to be fair, his performances when he first came in the team were better than when he dropped out of the team. I think there was a deterioration in Schofield's performances, so maybe it would have been hard to foresee, the downward trend. But yeah, looking back, I'm sure. Saying that though, Hamer's wages probably were something we wanted off the wage bill. I don't think they were astronomical, but I think they were probably more than we were willing to spend on him. So, in terms of on the field, I would have kept him. But I understand that if we had to get rid of him there and then, because I'm sure there weren't hundreds of clubs lining up to take him, then I think it probably was a fair decision. Maybe the other question would be, getting rid of Hamer was the right thing, but should we have then got in someone to replace him? That's probably the solution I would have gone for. But, we didn't go down. Schofield, he got some minutes under his belt, so there was no harm done there.
Well, you say replace him. We got Jason Lettweiler in. Do you remember him?
Did, yeah. But okay, replace him with someone better. Get a Premier League loan in. I love him.
Yeah. Oh, you classic. Yeah. Well, I only remember Jason Lettweiler because I was the melon who went through the trouble to get some quotes about him, and from Fleetwood fans, and find out what he was like, and then he never bloody played for us. So Anyway, we'll move on from keepers. Who have you picked as a key player for Town, Josh? Is it your favourite man who's just signed a new contract today?
Well, he would have been. It is, yeah, but I don't want to be boring. I don't want to be boring and pick Lewis O'Brien every week. So, bearing in mind, Swansea have only scored 1 goal at home. I think the key for Town is going to be scoring. And, the strikers, well, Danny Ward's not exactly been prolific, has he? So I've picked Meepo as our key player. I think it's, he's had a couple of appearances. He's not done anything yet, but he said he came here to score goals. He promised goals. So I think it's maybe coming up to the time now that he needs to, just for his confidence, he needs to get one on the score sheet. And I think it could be a low scoring game. So I think he could be the difference between winning and drawing or losing the game on Saturday. I think it's his time. Whether that's starting or whether it's coming off the bench for a bit longer period than he has. I think he's going to be the man to get us that goal, the decisive goal in the match.
I like it. I like the hope there. I think it's interesting. I know he's not a favourite among Town fans, but I thought it was quite interesting listening to the other Town podcast. They were talking about Danny Ward and how it might be best for him to be dropped, left out for a game. And I completely agree with you. I think this is give Meepo a start. You can always bring Campbell off the bench if it's not working. But like you say, he's only come on for the last 20 minutes. And in fairness to him, in the Forest game, he was making a lot of nice runs, and no one was kind of lifting the head up. But he was trying to drag the defenders around, and he looks a good player. He looks exciting. I think I think we've touched on it before, but having him, Sinani and Thomas, I think that offers a few questions, makes it exciting. So I'm on the Meepo train too, mate. Let's hope he starts.
However, I'm questioning myself a bit now. Now you mentioned Campbell. As we said, Swansea playing out from the back. Maybe Campbell could be the starting striker to put him under pressure. But anyway, I think Meepo will get the goal, which will win us the game. That's why I'm sticking with him.
Like it. Well, we'll talk a little about Lewis O'Brien in a sec, because I want to hear your thoughts on the contract. I know we're a bit of a preview podcast, but I've gone for his mate as a key player, Harry Toffolo. Didn't think I'm not singling him out, but didn't think he had the best game on Saturday. I don't think many people had the best game on Saturday, but I think we saw, particularly in the fixture, for this fixture last season, the damage you can do. Obviously, he got with a goal, and I don't know. I hope he kind of bounces back, because I don't think he's really got going this season. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but we've seen how well he can do, and he sets high standards for himself. So I want to see a little bit more from him, because we know, particularly when he overlaps with Thomas and O'Brien and Koroma and O'Brien, he can be really dangerous from an attacking perspective. And just the only thing that did worry me a little bit on Saturday was they weren't really picking him out. He had loads of space in the second half, and they just when they did pass it, it wasn't quite spot on, or he just had acres of space. And also from a defensive point of view, I thought he kept getting caught out, and the Forest kind of. I agree. Yes, Jed Spence and Brennan Johnson had a bit of a field day down that right side, particularly in the first half. But yeah, I think he's maybe still trying to re-find his form, isn't he? After he had a bit of a spell out of the team through, I think he had COVID, didn't he? Or he had some sort of injury. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's not hit the ground running since coming back, but he's still, we know how good he can be. So we'll stick with him, won't we? Yeah, and we know Harry sometimes listens to this pod. So Harry, if you are, I think it's only when we win, but we want you to do more, mate. So it's open. Oh no, he's a great player. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And if you are listening, mate, you saw Lewis has signed his contract. You do the same. Yeah. I don't think he'll be far behind, actually. He's open. Anyway, before we move on to hearing from the Swansea fan, yes, how do you feel about your favourite son signing a new deal? Oh, well, it's fantastic news, isn't it? To think only a few weeks ago we were all resigned to
him donning the white of Leeds United. I even messaged a mate of mine who's a Leeds fan saying, you got a good player coming. But thankfully, it's not turned out like that. So we don't have to resign ourselves to watching him play down at Elland Road. But yeah, it's great, especially the length of the contract to 2025. I know it doesn't mean he's going to be here till then. You know, if a bid comes in even in January or next summer, which meets our valuation, he'll be going. But at least, you know, we can hold out for that valuation, given we've got the contract length on our side. It gives us a position of strength, if nothing else. But if no club does meet our valuation, then we've got someone to build a team around in the seasons to come. You know, you don't need me to tell you what he brings to this town side. I think we'd be very sort of shadow of the team without him in it. I think he brings identity, a relationship with the fans. So yeah, I think it was vital for us to get his contract extended, and it's very good news for the club.
No, I completely agree, mate. And you know, I think you touched on it. He might not be here till 2025, but you know, he said himself he likes the direction the club's going in at the moment. And you know, I think as town fans, we're all aware, like, people will always come in for our best players. You know, that's just the club we are. But I think that we can criticise town for a lot of things over the last few years, but I think we've said it before. In fairness to them, they always hold for their valuations, getting good deals. I mean, look at the players we've sold, and like, you know, Grant obviously got good money for him. Billing, we've got good money for him, and I think, you know, Phil is a bit of a divisive character, which is to say the least. But you have to say fair play for him, you know, not selling for what he deemed below the valuation of Lewis, and you know, getting him to sign a new deal. So yeah, well done. Some praise for the club there. Don't normally hear that. Anyway, we will move on because it's time for the view from the other side.
We're sorry, your call cannot be
Hello,
taken as
no
dialed.
one is available to
Press the
take your
number
call.
and dial again.
Please leave a message after the
Recording.
tone.
So that jingle means I spoke to an opposition fan. This time it was Stephen from Swansea City podcast, the JackCast. And here's what he had to say about the match and how his team's been doing at the moment. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for joining me. So my first question is, Swansea have had a bit of a mixed start to the season, which is maybe surprising from the outside, as they were playoff finalists just last season gone. Can you briefly tell us the situation with the club at the moment?
I think Swansea's slow start to the season isn't really a massive surprise. Obviously, the managerial change come in very late. Russell Martin was only appointed 5 or 6 days before the season started. We did a lot of transfer business then. After that, we hadn't done a great deal before it. We lost a lot of key players. So I think whoever took the job was going to be on a bit of a hide into nothing initially. So I'm not really surprised that Swansea have had a slow start to the season.
Russell Martin's come in with the aim of introducing a different style of football. But what are your thoughts on the manager so far?
I think Russell Martin has said all the right things, but these things take time, really. I mean, I do have some concerns about us going forward. We did have a great half at Luton the other day after being 3-0 down to come back to 3-3. But apart from that, I think we've only scored 4 goals in the league. So that's obviously what the problem is. It's just teething problems, really. I think we're still getting used to the way that we want to play. And obviously there's a lot of new players. So I'm not overly concerned. But like I said, patience really is the order of the day.
What can we expect from this Swansea team on the pitch then, Stephen?
I think you'll see a Swansea team really that wants to try and keep the ball on the floor, and we've been playing with like a 3-5-2 formation, so there'll be a lot of onus on the wing backs, particularly Ethan Laird. But then we've been playing mainly one up front with like 2 number 10s really, but I'm hoping that's going to change. We'll play with 2 up top with Joel Perreault and Michael Obafemi, which is what we did in the second half of Luton. I think that would help us a lot with goal threat. So I think that hopefully that's what we're going to see on Saturday.
Are there any players that we need to keep an eye out for on Saturday?
Players to watch. Joel Perreault is our top scorer. I think he's got 4 or 5 goals from very limited chances, so he's definitely one to watch. Olivier Cham, who's just come in on a free transfer. He was at Celtic last season. I think that's been a really good signing for us. So I think they could be ones to watch, really.
How are Swansea fans feeling ahead of this game?
Not too sure how the fans are feeling. I mean, there's a bit of frustration that obviously we've had a poor start and we're towards the bottom of the league, so we really need to try and get some points on the board. We've got 2 away games after this, so it's a game where we're targeting, I would say, for 3 points. But whether people are feeling massively confident or not, I'm not so sure. I mean, it was definitely after Luton getting 3 goals in the second half to come back from the dead, so to speak. I think there's definitely a bit more positivity about them there than certainly there was at half time. But we'll have to wait and see.
So, what are you expecting from the game against Huddersfield?
I think Huddersfield seem quite unpredictable. Obviously, they lost to Forest last week, but we've had some good wins against other sides. So I think it's probably been a better start to the season than maybe what you were expecting after the last couple of years where you've really struggled a bit. So yeah, I think this league in general can be quite unpredictable. Who would have thought last season when we went to your place that we would lose 4-1? I remember having the conversation with you when neither of us saw that one coming. So yeah, I think who knows what will happen on Saturday.
And finally, how do you see the game going and what's your score prediction?
I'm going to go for a prediction of 1-1. Not sure who will score, what order the goals will come in, but yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence and say a score draw.
Okay, so we heard from Stephen there. Now, Josh, can you take us back in time?
A backpack full of memories.
Okay, so this week we're going back in time just a few short months ago to the 20th of February 2021, when Huddersfield Town put promotion-chasing Swansea City to the cleaners in a 4-1 victory, which really came out of nowhere, didn't it? Goal scorers for Town that day: Fraser Campbell, Lewis O'Brien, and Dwayne Holmes scored twice, one of which was an absolute thunderbolt into the top corner. It did bobble a little bit, but we're going to give him that because it was right in the postage stamp of the goal. But I remember it was around the time of the season where Town were in a terrible run of form. It was pretty bleak, living generally at that point, with lockdown and the cold weather and stuff. And I just remember this game, brightened up the weekend in an unexpected way, really. Brady, is that the same for you?
Yeah, it was such a weird game, wasn't it? Because we were on that terrible run, and then we scored, didn't we? And then I think Conor Hourihane had that free kick. I think it was just on the stroke of half time, and it was a good free kick. But again, questions about Schofield, but maybe I can be a bit harsh. And then there was just that 10-minute spell where it was like, I remember I was watching it with two of my mates at the time, and it was like kind of over Zoom, and we couldn't believe it, and that Dwayne Holmes' second goal, I know it bounced, but still, like, when have you seen a Town player do that at that point? And it's such a daft thing, but I remember really vividly being like, even when it was like the 85th minute and we're still 4-1 up, I was like, yeah, no, I mean, you still need to see this out though, it's not, because that's how bad a run we're in. But yeah, it's such a
get it in the corner.
Yeah, defend it. Yeah, it was really weird game, like really weird.
Yeah, it was completely out of the blue.
Yeah, and then we didn't really build on it. We were all hard to build on, and then
no, it was very much the odd one out, wasn't it, in the second half of the season?
Yeah, so weird. I mean, yeah, we did the double over him last season, so yeah, who knows? Anyway, Josh, that was a very nice. Hopefully, I mean, I'd take 4-1 for this game, but we'll return to the Mac now.
Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend.
Dupuat's got the better. Yes! And Laurent Dupuat has scored. What a goal, Aaron Moy! An absolute thunderbolt delivered all the way from Australia.
Return to the Mac.
Okay, Josh, you're going to go first, aren't you? You've got a striker, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah. As we said, I think it could be a low-scoring game, and scoring goals. We've not struggled to score goals, but we've struggled for our strikers to score goals, which is normally where your most dependable source of goals comes from. So I've been going through the strikers all season, haven't I? So now it's the turn of Leon Knight, who spent the 01-02 season on loan at Town. Obviously, I was young at the time, and one of my first full seasons I remember, and he was absolutely lethal. Him and Boothie up front, the classic big man, little man, electric pace, finishing absolutely sensational. Let himself down at the end of the season, getting suspended for the playoffs. And to be honest, I'm sure he'd admit himself, he could have gone a lot further in his career. Obviously, his attitude's been questioned a number of times, but talent-wise, especially as a youngster, Leon Knight would get in, I'd say, most championship teams. So yeah, I think if he was in our team on Saturday, he'd give Swansea a lot to think about up front.
Yeah, I think that's a really good shout, mate. Interesting tweeter as well, I would say.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to endorse his off-field activities, but you can all go find that for yourself if you want.
Well, as you say, Josh, you're the type of manager that you don't matter what happens off the pitch, as long as you're delivering on it.
Exactly, yeah. As long as he's doing the business, turn up for training on time.
Lovely. Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to pick I'm going to pick a strike as well. I don't think I picked, but I remember talking about him last week. And he's the player I always really liked at Town. He's at Millwall at the moment currently. I think on loan, and I would have
Scott Malone.
No, not Scott Malone. Settle down. Did I love Scott Malone? The best thing Scott Malone did was go down at that free kick against
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I'll let you carry on.
It's a striker I liked a lot, Benicofobie.
Ah, yeah. That's a decent shout, mate.
Yeah, I liked him. I think, to be honest, I think he's had a bit of a tough time off the pitch in the last couple of years, but that is someone I'd love to bring back. And I don't know if he could, I don't know how he's doing at Millwall, but I like a bit of romance in football, and I wonder if he came to, did as well as he did before, that'd be great.
I'd definitely take him back.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be a good pick. I think people will probably go Leon Knight, but I like Benicofobie.
Can we make it happen? Can we get him on the podcast? See if we can convince him.
Oh, maybe. Let's try. I mean, if anyone, on the off chance anyone does know anyone or knows Benicofobie is in contact with him, put him in touch. Let's, Josh and I do a mean PowerPoint where we can convince him.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm just looking at his career now. It's gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? Since he got that move in Premier League to Bournemouth, and then he moved to Stoke. Well, Wolves signed him, didn't they? And then they sold him the same transfer window. To Stoke, and then since then the goals have dried up, haven't they? But I think if he got playing regularly again, it could happen at Millwall this season. I think we'll see the best of him. He's still 28. Can lead the line. He was leading line for Town when he was 17 years old. So,
He's always been Sorry,
mate. Go on.
No, I think he's had a lot of not to bring the tone of the podcast down. I think he's had a lot of off the field. I think he's had some family issues, and I think
right. Okay.
Family, but,
sorry to hear that.
No, sorry, not to bum everyone out, but I think let's bring him back. Let this podcast. Let's start a campaign to bring Benicofobie back to Town. Who knows? The thing is, honestly, we don't have a lot of young strikers apart from me players on loan. So everyone's pretty much 30 plus, aren't they? So bring him back. That's what I say. But anyway, we'll move on. Be interesting poll that. We'll see how it pans out. Anyway, it's time for You're the Boss. So Josh, you're in charge, mate. You're in the dugout. You're travelling down to Wales. How are you lining Town up for this?
Well, I'm going to stick with the 3-4-3 that we've been playing, in most of the previous weeks, just because I think we've played our best football in that formation. So Nichols in goal. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a tricky one because I want to get Sarr back in, but I don't think I'm not going to drop players. I'm going to rest him. All right, because I don't think he could play in the right centre back role. I think he'd probably get a little bit exposed for pace. So I'll keep Pearson right centre back, Sarr in the middle, and then Colwill left centre back. keep with Thomas and Toffolo for now as the wing backs. But I think when Pippa comes back in, I would put him back in and move Thomas further forward. But for now, keep Thomas and Toffolo as the wing backs. Hogg and O'Brien in midfield, that sort of picks itself. And then Sinani on the right, Karoma on the left, and then spearheading the attack. I'll have Campbell, as we said earlier, to get about their strikers, but I would bring him off. Hopefully, if it's still 0-0 around the 60-minute mark, bring him off, get Meepo on, get him to get the goal that I've promised. And we walk away with a 1-0 win. That's my plan. What's yours?
My plan is basically the same. Team 3-4-3. The only change I'm making, I'm wanting to get Sarr back in. I just think it'd be a good game for him, and I can see him having a bit of a. I can see him having a good performance, regardless of the result. I've just jinxed him now, haven't I? But
well, to be fair, he could say he was unlucky to be out of the team because he didn't really do. He's not done too much wrong. He had some good games at the start of the season.
Definitely, and he's looked a lot more comfortable since being in the centre of the back three. And I know he has a rick in him, but we've not seen it this season. And I agree. I think interesting that Pearson went off at half time in the previous game, but I'd keep him in. But yeah, same team: Nichols, Pearson, Sarr, Colwill, Thomas, Hogg, O'Brien, Toffolo, Sinani. I am going to start Meepo though, alongside Sinani and Karoma. I just think, why not? I think this lad, like you say, wants to score goals. And to be fair, I don't know how you feel like with this, but I know you've got to bed people in and you shouldn't really listen to what the fans think and just, trust the process. But why not give him 60 minutes just so fans can have a look at him and see what they think? He might, because when he's coming on, he's been like last 10, 15 minutes, or when, as we saw when he came on against Forest, couldn't really get in the game because it's already 2-0 and they've got 10 men ball. So why not start him? And if it's not going well, then you can bring on Fraser or Ward if you wanted to. So I agree. I think I would start Meepo. I know you've started Campbell and then still pick Meepo as your key player, but I think we should. They've had a week as well, a week on the training pitch as their midweek game, which I think is a positive for Town as well. And get him started and see what he can do.
Yeah, I'd have no qualms in starting him. No, I absolutely understand that logic.
Got to score goals. I mean, I don't know if you saw as well, but he got into a bit of trouble over the weekend with West Ham fans. Did you see that?
I think I saw something when I was scrolling through, but did he congratulate someone? Or?
Yeah, so for anyone who is interested in Instagram beef, if you have the mind of a 12-year-old like me.
You're stirring it up now. You're as bad as them.
Exactly. Well, Jesse Lingard, obviously, who's on loan at West Ham, scored the winner for Man U against West Ham at the weekend, 2-1. And Meepo commented with the goat emoji, I believe, on Jesse Lingard's Instagram post, which prompted a lot of West Ham fans to be like kicking off at him. So maybe it's all part of the master plan to get him on a permanent. Who knows?
Yeah, well, he's done us no favours in that regard.
Well,
did he sign a new contract before he came here?
He did, but you never know. I think he signed a new contract. Yeah, but West Ham are doing well and might like Mikel Antonio and Ben Rama and all those good players. But then he's probably come to Canal Side, seen Jonathan Hogg, and he's thought, I want to be part of this permanently. Yeah. So
exactly.
Who can blame him? Anyway, this has been a bit of a rambly pod. So. Josh, before we go, which I think is best for everyone, how do you see this game going and what's your score prediction?
Okay, so I think it might not be our game plan, but as a fan, this is how I want us to approach the game. Is to put them under pressure, don't make it comfortable for them playing out the back, because we know how that feels ourselves. Certainly, as a fan watching it, it can be uncomfortable at times. So. They won't be full of confidence. Even though they came back from 3-0 down at the weekend. I don't think the fans or the team will be, full of themselves. So I think silence the crowd. The old analogy. Get after them, and then when it's your time to strike, probably on the counter attack. I think it'll probably be second half, around 60, 70 minutes. You got to take your chance. Well, chances you might get more than one, but take your chance when it comes. I think that is going to be Meepo's time. That's what I'm calling. So I'm going to say, and then from there, just see it out. A bit of what housing, and yeah, grind out a good 1-0 away win. But saying that, if we did draw this game, I'd be happy. I think the key for Town this season is not to back up losses with losses. Mm-hmm. So every time we do suffer a setback, just get a point. It just stops that negative slide that we've had over the last 2 or 3 seasons. So yeah, I'd be happy with the draw, but I'm optimistically going for a 1-0 with Meepo to score.
I like it. That was a lot of analysis. I'm going to go for it. I'm also going to go for a Town win, but I think because Forest was a bit of a reality check, and we've had a week's rest, I think that's going to benefit us, and particularly Swansea like to play open. I think that really suits us, and particularly how we want to play in it because we're away from home. I have a feeling it's going to be a bit similar to Blackpool, not in the sense that we'll win 3-0, but I think the first half will be a bit, we're not looking great here, and it's 0-0 at half time, not quite into our stride, and then I can just, like you say, I think when the game opens up, like midway through the second half, I could see us getting some joy. So I'm going for a 2-1 win for Town, repeat of last season. I just have a feeling this is a good game for us, and want to bounce back. And I think, you look at where Swansea are, like 21st. Like this is a real good opportunity to get 3 points away from home, and we have a good record against them. Did the double. So yeah, just got a feeling. I think we've played a lot of teams at the moment where maybe you could say we've been fortunate because they've not quite clicked. I mean, look at Sheffield United; they're kind of flying now, and I wonder if it's going to be the same with Swansea. They're not quite
saying that we were very unfortunate with the time in the Forest game, weren't we?
100%, but that's the Championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2-1 with Town win. We've both gone for a Town win. We're both hoping to see a Meepo magic show. We'll see. 2-1 for me, 1-0 for you. We'll see how it plays out. I apologise to Josh. You can keep this in, Josh, because he's had to cut so much stuff because this has not been a vintage episode from me.
From either of us, it's been sort of game where the ball's out of play more than it's in. So a lot of work to do in the dressing room for the next time.
Yeah, it's not going to be on the. They're not going to make a DVD in the club shop for this one.
No.
But yeah, thanks to everyone for listening. Let's hope Town bounce back, and we'll catch you for a preview of the Blackburn game, another midweek game coming up. We'll be previewing that game soon, so tune in. All right, take care.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So Town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So Town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.